You know a lot of people gonna be mad at me about this video, right? You know they not gonna like what I'm gonna say. Oh well. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Torrence, and in today's video, we're gonna ruffle a few feathers. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but in today's video, I want to show you 10 palettes in my collection that I just truly, they ugly. There's no nice way to say it. These are not people, these are items, these are objects, and not only are they considered beauty items, and with beauty being in the eye of the beholder, although I own them, the beauty in these palettes just seem to be way down on the bottom of my list. Just gonna put this out here. One, I own them and I plan on keeping them all. But when I sit down and I rank every palette in my collection, and I go from the most beautiful one being up here to the least beautiful being way down here, these are the 10 palettes that I say, no, you just don't do it for me. And if you would like to know which 10 palettes in my collections I think are just the ugliest ones that I own, just go ahead and continue to watch. First up, I just want to go ahead and say, although the color story is what I find ugly, the packaging is absolutely beautiful. Like, it is beautiful. So at number 10, we're going to go off with the KKW So Fire palette. Look at that there. Like, Kim looks amazing on the cover of this. And normally she does a millennial pink type color. The fact that she has her picture here, it's orange on the back. It's gold around the edges here. Like, she went all out for this collection. And I'm trying to cover the mirror, but I want to show you. Look at all of this orange. Now, when I first got into makeup, there were 3 colors that just did not do it for me. Purple, oranges, and blues. And although I've come to truly love purples, many people tell me how nice I look in blues, so it's starting to come around. But oranges, nope. It just reminds me of the days when I didn't know how to properly shade match, so my color was off. I was using bronzer for contour, so my face was really orange. It reminds me of unclean teeth, like, no ma'am. And the color story here is actually nice. The problem is, if I snatch out all the orange shades in this palette, I'm then left with these vibrant yellows and these vibrant reddy purple shades. And it's like, those two really don't do it for me together. Maybe if you had them in 2 separate palettes. But just this color story alone, and I don't feel bad for purchasing it because right now I believe I have all of the palettes from KKW except 3. I don't have the 2 all matte palettes as well as the newest one with her childhood friend Allison. But when Ulta put this palette, I believe it was on sale for like $8 or $9, I had to grab it. I'm like, I know I don't like this color story, but I like the formula, and I'm sure I'll have a friend who will like this and want to try it out. But, quality is there, packaging is there, color story, she ugly. Next up, at number 9, I think this is probably the very first complexion brand I ever fell in love with. Getting into makeup, it was hard enough to just find your shade, but to find your shade and a formula you love, baby, that was just, that was like fantasy land back then. But one of the palettes I ended up purchasing from that brand because I absolutely love NARS was this one here. The Loaded palette. And this palette came out several years ago, and as you can see, still got this plastic film on it because I barely use this palette. Formula is nice, but everybody and their mama kept talking about how much you had to have it. And when you look at it, you're like, wait, Torrence, you would really think you like this. This seems like it's a straight up neutral palette. Doesn't lean really warm, doesn't lean really cool. But to me, it's just something about this palette that just goes. The shimmers, they nice, but they're more, to me, they borderline more satin, so the shimmers don't really give it to me. The color story here, it seems like that top row is really, really cool. That middle row, it seems like he's more neutral. He wants to be warm, but And then those orangey shades in the middle, it just really throws me off. I love the fact that there is a matte black in here, but it's like, Torrence, which one shade in that palette do you truly believe is just like beautiful, it's stunning? And it's like, none of them. The packaging is blah. The color story is blah. The formula is nice, but, well, the matte formula is nice. That shimmer, I just either wanted a little less sparkle or a whole lot more, and it's just like, bye, ugly, no. At number 8, another formula I absolutely love. I've collected all of her 9-pan palettes except the newest 3 that just recently launched. And truth be told, considering that she done shrunk the pan size, I'm waiting on them to go on sale because she's not going to get full price out of me and not give me a full product. And that goes to Huda Beauty. And you can already tell, with this being the Topaz obsession, the main reason she here is because she orange. Nope. Orange don't do it for me. Nope. And as you can see, the colors, it's a very nice, beautiful color story. We got 5 mattes. I see enough to go ahead and do like a nice transition or brow bone highlight on my complexion. We have transition shades. We have crease shades. Whether you want to go light or dark with the shimmers, the formula is absolutely beautiful. But I tried this out once just to see what the formula was like, and formula was nice, but the color orange just don't do it for me. And now that I'm looking at it, I see I went in with this as a transition, this is a crease, this to deepen it up, and this on the lids. Ain't touched it since. No. Her warm brown obsessions, that's a good palette. I've used and repurchased that multiple times. This one here, bye, ugly. At number 7, just keeping up with things. Like I said, if you love the color orange, that's up to you. For me, And when I sit back and think about how much I spent for this palette, it's like, and still spend over $120 on an ugly palette like the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. Nope. Nope. Packaging, nice and sleek. I absolutely love the packaging. But when I flip this around and see this color story, it's called the Sunset palette. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, I can see where you get the sunset vibes. My problem is, look at all this orange. I don't like oranges. What I wanted was this matte yellow. No. This matte red. Nope. No. And the shade I really thought was the absolute most beautiful in this palette was this duochrome. It shifts between orange and yellow, and because it was a duochrome, which is my favorite finish of eyeshadows, that's what drew me in. It wasn't until I actually got them home that I realized these two have no pigment, and she's beautiful, but there was no need to buy this whole $130 palette to get this one duochrome shade. And it just makes me bitter every time I look at this palette and realize it's almost $130 and you don't like these colors. And the worst part about it is Natasha Denona has one of my favorite shimmer formulas. Like she ain't up there with Pat McGrath, but she peeking at her from real close, like she a neighbor. She ain't in the same house, but she up the street. Next up at number 6 is honestly a palette I don't think is necessarily ugly because the packaging is beautiful. The problem is I bought this entire palette for one shade, and I don't like all the rest of the shades. And at number 6, we have the MAC Fruit a la La palette. As you can see here, this is a very small, compact palette. The main reason I got it was for this decoration here. I believe this launched during the MAC Fruity Juicy collection, and the design there just it sucked me in. I literally bought one of the lipsticks, one of the lip glosses, one of the eyeshadows, as well as the Fix Plus bottle that I use in almost every tutorial. I just refill this with different Fix Plus whenever it runs out. But I bought this bottle just because I thought the design was absolutely stunning. The problem with this palette, as you can see, it's nice and cool tone, but these cool tones don't do it for me. These are more reddish berry tones, and I'm like, you can go ahead and hold on to that, sis. I don't need that. The only shade in this entire palette I like is this frosty one here. That shade is so beautiful, but I think in the past I may have only used this palette about 4 times, and every single time it's just to reach in for this one shade and then she goes back. The fact that there are 6 colors in this palette and only one excites me, and the only reason I won't get rid of it is because I want to keep the packaging intact. Yeah, bye ugly. Next, number 5. I truly did not think I would even put anything by this brand on here because they make my absolute favorite palettes. But we're going to be honest with y'all and let y'all know that at number 5, my ugliest palette goes to Melt Cosmetics Millennial Pinks. Now just looking at the outside, it's like, okay. The camera's not picking up on it, but you can see this little 3D design here sort of look like small pyramids. So I'm like, ooh. We got a texture palette here. Is this going to be some nice chunky glittery shades that's going to actually adhere to the skin? What's going on? Then you open her up and you like, okay. They said millennial pink, so I'm expecting soft. I understood that. But it's like, where can I wear this? I mean, what colors am I going to put in my crease? And you sit back and you go like, okay, the shimmers are all nice. But these dark shimmers and these light crease shades, how am I going to pull that off? Like, and I bought it because I love the Melt formula. And when I look at each shade as an individual, they all look nice. The problem is this palette needs to be cut in half. And one side needs some darker mattes on it, and the other side needs some lighter mattes added to it. And because of that, simply because I like each one, but I don't like this whole color story together, and he was almost $60, it's like, yeah, ugly. You going to number 5. I've never even used this palette. Although I'm looking at them, I'm like, okay, yeah, you cute, you cute, you cute. But I have never been able to sit down and convince myself to actually use the palette because I can't come up with a look in my head. It's like, no. You bring no inspiration. You cost me money to get you because I ain't on no PR list. So it's like, for $60, if I'm not even willing to try you, because there's something about you I don't like. So at number 5, goodbye, ugly. Now, number 4, y'all better not come for me because I done already let it be known. I don't like soft washes of colors. I don't like oranges. And as long as I didn't have this palette, I've tried it. The formula was nice. The look was soft and beautiful. But I still think she ugly. And at number 4, we got the ABH Modern Renaissance. She ugly. I understand everybody, this is probably their best selling palette. Everybody wants it. Everybody had to have it. And as you can see, I bought this when they still had the old school design right here. But when I get to the inside of this palette, no. All I see is all of this orange. I see these dusty purples and mauve colors, and it's like, to me, it seemed like it's too much on both ends going. Either you could have been a cool neutral palette or a warm neutral palette, But it seemed like they tried to merge the two, and I'm just not here for it. My crease shades don't get dark enough. My cool tones aren't as neutral as I want them to be. I may have used this palette about 2 or 3 times. And like I said, the formula is stunning. I think they only gave us, what, 2 shimmers in here, and they both so close together that it was like, what was the point? Same thing with these reds. You got Love Letter and Venetian Red. One's a little more red, one's a little more purple, but I don't care a little more about either one. Like, And I keep trying to tell myself, Torrence, you have the whole collection. This is permanent. What you gonna do when this one go bad? I don't see me repurchasing it. I just don't. Even when I was freelancing, I never wanted to reach for this palette. Like, no. Nothing about it excites me. And every time I look at it, I think to myself, Torrence, this was once the best-selling palette in the world. The only thing I can tell myself is they had to love the formula because the color story is ugly. But it got to be just my opinion because they still got it in the range. People still love it. I see beautiful looks from it all the time. But the idea of even pulling this out just makes me go, I'd rather just not wear makeup today. So goodbye, ugly. And at number 3, the palette that I'm going to choose is the palette I purchased for myself. It brings back a lot of childhood memories, which is the only reason I actually bought it. And that palette would be the Nickelodeon eyeshadow palette. Now let me tell you, anybody who knows me knows I am a huge fan of Rowette, especially my girl Angelica. I even have an Angelica book bag that I carry with me all the time. So as soon as I saw this palette, there was no doubt about it. I wanted it strictly for the packaging. I wanted it for the packaging. And the fact that it's shaped like a cassette tape, it really took me back, so I had to have it. And when you get inside, you instantly look at this color story and you go, wait. Okay. I'm looking at the colors and I'm trying to figure out exactly where do I go with this. Because the thing is, I tried this palette out as a rainbow look before, and the quality was really shocking to me. Like, I was surprised how much I liked the formula. The problem is, none of these colors go together, honey. You got this matte, a blue one, and an orange. And it's like, after I get through building up my crease, none of these colors go coordinate with it. So, individually, each color is nice, the formula is nice, and because I'm a big fan of trying to get a complete look out of one palette, I don't mind reaching for 2. The thing is, this is the kind of palette where I always have to reach for something else. And with that being the case, the formula is not so stunning that I find myself saying, hey, let's go in and grab that purple from this palette, or hey, I need that matte burgundy shade from this palette. It's like, no, that never happens. If for any reason I decide I just want to play around in this palette, if my niece comes over and she sees it and she wants to play around with it, I don't mind it. If you were to snatch all the Nickelodeon designs off of this and just tried to sell me these 10 shades, I would have never purchased it. I would have laughed in your face so hard when I seen this color story, like, wait, who buying that? No. Sir, I don't care what the price is. I don't want no parts of it. It could be the greatest sale. It could be a discount. I don't want these colors because they're ugly. But slap Nickelodeon on it. And she came home with me and I absolutely love her. But if we being honest, you in number 3, so goodbye, ugly. Next up, I don't want to hear y'all in... I'm gonna be watching my comments, baby. Don't come in the comment section acting crazy, because I'm telling you, I claps back. The number 2 ugliest palette in my collection is the Jeffree Star Beauty Killer palette. Honey, at one point in time, when Jeffree was on the come up on YouTube and in the beauty sphere, baby, I could not get enough of him. When I tell you, I had never seen somebody come into the makeup world and just be so shocking. Like, he said what he wanted, he did what he wanted, and to me, it was just like a breath of fresh air to not have someone on the channel just be all the time positive, all the time cheeky. And another thing I truly respected Jeffree for at the time was the fact that he was open and honest about the plastic surgery. It was just so many people getting so many things altered and just lying to our face, baby. They were just, oh no, I woke up like this. There's no makeup on my face. Oh no, my waist is naturally that snatched. I've never had a rib removed. Oh no, my butt is that big, honey. I've never injected a thing. And it was like, is anybody just gonna be blunt and just put it out there? So when Jeffree did that, and this was his very first release, I wanted to get it simply just to support someone who was doing something different. I got tired of the plain neutrals. I'm like, where are the bursts of colors? Where are the shade names that make you turn your head and go, wait, you remember that time too? And for me, this one was it. So when he dropped this palette and said it was named after his first album, it was like, okay, we got somebody who's gay. We got somebody who's not afraid to speak their honest truth. We have somebody who loves music and makeup. Torrence, you gotta get it. And at the time, it really seemed like a nice thing to do. You get inside and you realize these colors individually are all absolutely stunning. The problem is, as you get better in makeup, you start to realize this is not a cohesive color story. So for me, one of the main reasons to pick this shade up was this one here, Expensive. I absolutely love green shades, and with my mother's favorite color being teal, to have a poppin' teal shade right here and to call it Expensive, it automatically made me think, oh my God, not only do I like that shade, I like the name. We're gonna go ahead. Then you have a shade here, a black shadow called Black Rainbow. I love rainbows. Matte blacks are my favorite things behind green, so I'm like, we going. We got some cool tone mattes. You got one that can just go gray. You have one for a brow bone highlight or a lid shape for a cut crease. He gave us a transition called Courtney for Courtney Love, and I'm like, oh my God, how much more can you give me? I'm loving the names, I'm loving the colors, but I've never, ever used this palette for a full look. I never have. And I couldn't figure out, Torrence, why is it that you still have this palette? And the fact of the matter is, I paid for it. I paid for it, it's my money. But when I sit down and I think about, go ahead and use it. Create yourself a nice, beautiful eyeshadow look with it. It's like, with this ugly palette? With this ugly palette? I might do a one eyeshadow tutorial look with this just to get that one shade and keep it going. But, oh, I'm going to blend this into my crease and then this as a transition and then we're going to, nope. Nope. Each individual color is nice. The shade names are nice. The packaging, yeah. This is some ugly cheap packaging, honey, no. I mean, I guess for a beauty brand that was starting out, it was nice to be able to get things going. But she's so pencil thin. She a cardboard cheap little palette. And although I like the colors and I like the name, bye-bye ugly. And the number one, finally we're here. The ugliest palette in my collection, in my opinion. Just gonna let y'all know. One, I have every palette this brand has released because I absolutely love the formula. I love the blend, I love the colors they choose, but this one palette here, I've never tried it, and it was the very last one I bought because I did not want it. And I'm just looking at it right now, and you see I got my fingers way up here because I don't even want to grab it. It's like, no. I just don't want to put bad things out about the company because I absolutely love them and have done several videos for them. But we gotta be honest with y'all. The ugliest palette in my collection is the Dose of Color Ice Cream palette. Just looking at it from the outside, I'm like, oh, look at that. That look like that is gonna be pretty. You got that orange, the green, that pink. Like, okay, what we got going on? Ice cream. I'm thinking my eyes are gonna scream with loud, vibrant colors, and it's gonna be a creamy, buttery formula. Look at that. I look at this palette every time I open it up, and the only thing I see is pastels. And anybody who knows me knows I love cool tones and I love jewel tones. And this bad baby here, the colors are so light and so frosty looking that I've never even tried it. I don't have any desire to try it. The reason I have it is because I have every palette from the brand and I wanted the full collection. But the idea of even this mint chip here, greens are my favorites. But that green don't look, nope. I don't want to see him. I don't want to meet him. I don't want to know who his friends are. Nope. And then you got purple. It's called Lavender Honey. I like purples now, but I like deep dark purples. I can use this as a transition. Can't use them as a crease shade. Actually, I probably could on my complexion, but he's not going to do it for me. And this, how you going to have a vibrant and a pale yellow at the same time? Where they do that at? A vibrant, how you going to be vibrant and pale? And I just look at this palette and it's like, okay, Torrence, why not just try it? Like right now in the back of my head, I'm trying to convince myself, Torrence, just swatch it. Just run your fingers through it, swatch it across your arm just to see how pretty the colors are. And doing that much is like, no. And then you just keep asking yourself, well, Torrence, if you think it's ugly, you don't even want to try it, get rid of it. At least sell it. I mean, you can get a few dollars back. You only bought it at half price, so even, selling it back for that is okay. It's something in the collector in me, it's something in the artist in me that is saying, you need all of their palettes for collector's reasons. You need them all for research reasons. Maybe somebody else will come up with a palette similar to it and you can do a comparison video in the future. But the idea of using this little ugly thing here, nope. I'd rather just give up eyeshadow than to use this. That's probably not completely true, but right now that's how I'm feeling. But the only thing I am seeing in this whole palette where it's like, okay, Torrence, if you were to use this palette, what would you do? More than likely, I would use this as a transition, this as a crease shade, this all over the lid, and the rest of these can bounce. I see some pretty neutrals. I don't see no pretty pastels. So with that being said, goodbye, ugly. And with that being the last palette, I hope you all truly did enjoy this video. I hope I didn't offend anyone. But once again, this is just my opinion on my collection. If you like these items, 100% I am happy for you. If you have any beautiful looks that you've actually achieved with these items, go ahead and leave me a link for that in the comment section and I can check those out, because maybe it's just something I'm doing with them that just don't come off. Maybe you know a color combo that you can add with these palettes that you say, you know what, Torrence, I see you tried that one palette, but anytime I add this single to that, it gives me a stunning look. But just using these the way they are, the way they came to me, nope. I don't have to deal with ugly eyeshadows, honey. I got them, I'm gonna keep them. But we got to be honest, everything got a ranking in my collection, and these are all at the bottom as far as looks go. And with that being in, I hope you all truly enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Also, leave me a comment down below if you have any of these palettes but truly enjoy them, because just because I don't like something doesn't mean you all don't. And maybe it's just something I'm doing wrong. But with all of these palettes, either A, when I use them, I'm not satisfied with the look that I get, or B, I just see the shades in the palette and it just brings me no inspiration to even want to try. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel because my next video is going to be showing off the top 10 palettes that I think are the prettiest in my collection. But with nothing else, I hope you all remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye YouTube.